It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott, he is snowed in denim, but we've got a show. He's going to talk about CES, the big Microsoft announcements, and I'm sure there were some, and more. Windows Weekly coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
It's time for Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott, episode 191, recorded January 13th, 2011. Angry Ballmer. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Carbonite. Backing up the files on your PC or Mac is safe and easy with Carbonite. For a free trial plus 2 free months with purchase, go to Carbonite.com. Offer code WINDOWS. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off the lifetime of your new account, go to Squarespace.com/Windows. And when you check out, don't forget to use the offer code WINDOWS. And by Ford. Introducing the new 2012 Ford Focus Electric with voice-activated sync, My Ford Touch, gas-free power, zero CO2 emissions, and battery management technology that lets you go the distance. Learn more at focuselectricpower.com. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that explains, or as Ricky Ricardo would have it, splains everything you need to know about what's happening in Redmond. All the Microsoft products, Zune, Xbox 360, and this little old thing called Windows. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the star of our show, editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows, winsupersite.com, news editor for Windows IT Pro, analyst for Penton Media, and the author of, give me that book, the fine book, I had to borrow it from a visitor, Windows Phone 7 Secrets. Here he is, Paul Thurrott. Thank you.
It's flying off the shelves.
I'll buy one. Eventually.
Or what?
Unless I manage to give this phone away.
Sure.
No, actually.
What happened? Yeah.
What happened? So I'm back from CES, and apparently rumors.
I need you to understand that I get you do this, whatever you did, and I get emails.
People are tweeting you. Hey, Paul.
Do you know that Leo's latest attempt to backstab you involves?
There is always somebody out there who will attempt to stir up a fight between me and others. It's really interesting. Yeah. And the thing that's, I know nobody actually listens to this show. Like none of the people I'm like I might say something
thank you for qualifying that.
I might say something like, I don't know. I hate that Will Wheaton. Let's say I say that. Already somebody has tweeted. The next thing
you know, you get like a black birthday cake in the mail from Will Wheaton.
Right. Will doesn't have to listen to the show because there are 30 people who will say, "Hey, Will, did you hear what Leo said about you? It's at a
an awesome place in the fabric of the universe." You know, it's like everything you say becomes some kind of law.
It's not awesome.
So
somebody was saying how much they wanted a Windows 7 phone. Somebody I like. Who was it? Chat room. You might know. It was just one person. I said, well, I'll give you the Focus. I have a Focus, and I'll just take my SIM out of it, and you can have it. Well, I like it.
It sounds far more innocuous when you tell the story.
Yeah, I like it, but I just don't use it. It's sitting in a drawer. We use it for demo purposes, and I guess it's nice to have for that. But you know, I'm an Android guy. iJustine. Hey, no. Oh. Let me add a gloss to that. By the way, thank you. The entire chat room apparently knows that I said iJustine because it's like the chat room just filled with the word iJustine.
Right.
The thing is, she's the utter Mac person, right? She's a huge, one of the top subscribed people. I think 1.5 million subscribers or something on YouTube. I thought this would be good. You're right, but I thought, first of all, she's movie star gorgeous.
I deduced from the I in front of the name.
Yeah, iJustine. First of all, she's movie star gorgeous. So if iJustine said, "Can I have your iPad, your MacBook Air, whatever she wants," I go, "Yeah, sure you can, whatever you want." But also me in my non-lizard brain, I'm thinking, oh, this is good because she's such a Mac person. If she wants a Windows phone, I'm going to enable that. I can always get another one, but let's get Justine using a Windows phone. That's good for you, Paul. That's like, no, seriously, that's like if 50 Cent walk up to me and say, "Yo, Leo, I like the Windows Phone. You have one? I would say, yes, I do here. That's not how he talks.
Why would you be talking like Rocky?
That's as close as I can get. I don't know how Fitty talks. Somebody said, you know, I was listening to Leo Laporte, and he called 50 Cent 50 cents. And
well, betraying your middle-aged white guy roots.
I'm a middle-aged white guy. How am I supposed to know it's 50 Cent? Anyway, I'm just saying, I would give her the phone for the good, the greater good of you.
I appreciate that. I was looking as a representative of Microsoft. You know, like, no, I don't really have a strong stake in this.
But you wrote, yes, you do. You wrote a book, and the more people who
No. I wrote the book knowing it was never going to sell in important numbers. I wrote the book specifically to force myself to learn in a very rapid fashion as much as I could about the platform, and then establish myself in the phone side of things, not just on the PC server stuff as I had been in the past. So, I mean, that was mission accomplished, as we say. But, you know, the book isn't something I couldn't even eat lunch on the amount of money I'm going to make off the book, let alone retire. That's not the point.
So it's kind of the opposite of Steve Martin. Oh, it's a profit deal. It's a non-profit deal. It has a larger
charity.
Has a larger strategic import.
Yeah.
Yep. This is, by the way, folks, this is, you just got a window, an insight into some deep thinking, and the kinds of things that nobody would admit to in this industry. You have to craft your brand. This was some brand crafting going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And most people will not cop to it. Most people will not say, oh, yes, I'm crafting the brand. I need to establish. I need to put a flag, a foothold.
I can't just say I'm going to write about phones. I have to actually know something about it. So, you know, now I do. And you don't, so screw you.
Screw you. Well, I do know one thing.
Yes.
The TWiT Windows Phone app is now out for version 1.4. Just got updated. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a sweet little app, actually.
I think Dimitri has done a great job.
Yep.
Have I... You know, I do have to say something about CES.
Speaking of labor of love.
I do have... Yeah, another guy who's not going to make a penny.
A pseudo charity work, you know.
Yeah. I do have to say one thing about CES. It's interesting. You know, Windows... I got a very nasty email. From somebody said, I'm never
sorry about that. I was it was a late night.
I'm never listening to you again because you were at CES and you did not hardly mention Microsoft and their fantastic products. And you know, I should have said, oh yeah, the Surface Surface 2 is going to be out for $2,500. I should have said, oh yeah, you know what? There is a big story, and it kind of goes to the larger story. Which is that it is no longer a Wintel world. Microsoft says we're going to do ARM.
Yep.
We talked about that last time.
Listen, the whole world has gone crazy, Leo. Intel, no, I'm serious. It's nuts. Think about, these are just two little things, but think about how different things are. I'd have to go back and try to figure out when this happened. I want to say it was the Windows 95 time frame. Intel was going to release some software for Windows, that actually for Windows 3.1, if I'm not mistaken, that would enable what I think was some kind of native signal processing on a chip, and Microsoft fought them, and you know these guys were close partners, but went to head over this. And I think this was something that came out later in the antitrust trial. And what basically came out of it was Microsoft's perspective was, you do hardware, we do software. Now we have Microsoft allying with non-Intel chip vendors to do system on a chip, ARM specifically. We have Intel has created an app store that is very similar to the Mac App Store, by the way, for Windows. What? You know, I mean, it's just the craziest. It's like you put all these companies and what they do in a blender, and then what came out the other end is they just do stuff. They all just do different stuff now. Really strange.
Here's the email that I got, and maybe you can defend me. Dear Leo, all I hear is negative rants about Microsoft by you, Leo, and the poisoned mind of TWiT staff who keep following the Apple story that is not even the highlight at the 2011 International CES convention. Where is the coverage at the Microsoft keynote? Where is the coverage at the Microsoft booth? There are over 1 billion Microsoft customers around the world, yet not one bit of live or recorded video at the Microsoft booth. What a lame TWiT quote network of shows at 2011 CES. What a Crunchgear and even CNET did better.
All right. Can I respond to this?
Wait a minute. I just like the last line. You cannot be trusted anymore. Gordon.
To which I would say, anymore?
Anymore?
No. So, no, really? This was the dividing line?
You're right. We did not send a camera to the Microsoft booth nor the Intel booth because I really didn't see anything to cover there, to be honest with you.
This is a tough one for me because I've, in my own roller coaster reaction to everything in life, I'm not sure what to make of the Microsoft stuff in some ways. I will say I have the same feeling coming out of this CES that I had in the past, which is I don't understand why Microsoft is given the prime keynote spot for this show when, in fact, they are, if anything, a minor player in consumer electronics compared to some of the other companies. That's
really my point. Is this isn't
and again, everyone knows I'm not the Apple guy, but I have to say if you were going to, and they're not at CES, but if you were to pick one company in this industry that is bridging the gap between consumer electronics and computing and is, in fact, a leader in consumer electronics, it's not Microsoft, it's Apple. And that's just the hard truth. And why you have to think, I mean, you have to wonder what goes on behind the scenes at CEA and with the people behind that organization. But I would be shocked to discover anything other than they've been begging Apple to do this for years. And Apple has told them to go screw themselves because they don't need them, which is probably true too. So
yeah, Apple doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft. It's tough. I mean, they make some good products, and they make a few products that are actually pretty successful in consumer electronics, like the Xbox. Although, I find myself reminding people that the Xbox 360 is also a very flawed product, not just from a hardware standpoint with the $1.1 billion, not a recall, but a warranty fix program, the worst consumer electronics reliability disaster in history.
Yeah.
The billions and billions of dollars they spent to bring the system to market. And the fact that as of now, they're almost neck and neck for last place, tied with the PS3. Congratulations. I mean, there are different ways of looking at things.
See, I reported one of the things that I did report, and we reported again and again, was that Kinect had sold 8 million units.
Yes,
that's a huge story.
Yep, it's huge. Now,
and that's a consumer electronics device.
Well, but there are long-term questions there. I don't think that I think the Kinect is strong enough to help them get toward their goal of extending the life of the current system. I'm not sure that's such a huge accomplishment. I think the bigger deal for the Kinect is going to be the future. When they bring it to Windows, when they use it.
Uh-oh, he's frozen. And considering that he's just had about 18 feet of snow in Dedham, Massachusetts, I'm not surprised. Look how much weight he's lost. Yeah, I'm not.
No plans at this time. Maybe the same answer as we're not ruling it out. We're looking at it because that's what that other one said. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa!
I took my wig off. I hope you don't mind.
Wow.
Is that yours?
People don't know I'm actually 22.
That's quite a look.
Open your eyes, children.
People don't realize that actually this is all. I'm really only a kid. God, what was that all about?
If you disagree with me, you don't have to hang up on me.
Wow. So you were calling me and I was connecting, but nothing was happening. I don't know. Yeah, that's a Skype signal. I think it's a Skype signaling issue. Hey, by the way, I didn't ask you, how's the snow?
It's wonderful. I mean, depending on how you look at it, I can show it to you, maybe.
Yeah, let's see.
I don't know if this is worthwhile.
Oh, beautiful. I'm so jealous. I would love to be there. The trampolines. Is that the hot tub or the trampoline?
That's the trampoline.
Are you going to do the hot tub?
Well, it's on the other side of the house, and that's as far as the cable goes.
No, I didn't mean, are you going to get in it now? I meant later tonight.
I mean, the best time is when it's snowing.
Yeah, right? I love it. Yeah.
But then I think in general, just generally speaking, any good time is when it's very crisp and cold.
Cold is good. Yeah, I took a hot tub last night. God, it was down to like 50 degrees, and it was so cold here. And I took a hot tub. It was just wonderful.
It'll just take me 25 minutes to get the camera back.
Okay, good.
So let's start over. I heard you were trying to give away your Samsung Focus at CES.
No, we can't. So I didn't know this, but this is interesting. This is Steve Ballmer's 11th anniversary as CEO today.
Today. Yeah.
Wow. Doesn't seem So what was he before?
It's been 11 years of clear sailing, Leo. I'm not sure what else to say. The stock's through the roof. They're dominating in all their product categories.
Do you think there's pressure from the board or the shareholders to do something? Or are they content?
The question here is who wins, right? Because Microsoft can and has shown that if you look back over the past decade, Microsoft, by many measures, has done very well.
They're a great company.
They've continued to make a lot of money and so forth. I think the problem, and this speaks to my issues with Microsoft at CES, is when you look at the things that interest people, or you look at the things that concern consumers, you look at the things that are maybe a little more perception-based, Microsoft doesn't do so well.
That's it. It's perception, isn't it?
They don't have the vision thing. And I think the problem for Microsoft is that it has historically been perceived as a leader in the tech industry, as you would expect. And it's not clear that that's the case in some categories today. Obviously in some areas, Microsoft is a leader.
Isn't that inevitable? I mean, this is what happens in technology. No company stays on top forever. It's normal.
Right. I mean, transitions are hard. I mean, no matter what you're talking about. And I think the question for Microsoft... You mean the
transition from Gates to Ballmer, or the transition from a Wintel world to this new mobile world? That's going to be a tough one.
Well, from a world, I would call it from a world where PCs were the mainstream computing device for the masses to the future, whatever that is. Well, I think it's going to be a combination of different kinds of mobile devices that are phones and iPad-type tablets and so forth. And then there will always be PCs. But, I think for different groups of people, there are different needs, and I think PCs are the most versatile. But I'm starting to buy into the Steve Jobs truck story a little bit more than I did in the beginning.
He said that a PC was a truck in the early days of cars. Every car was a truck. Yeah. But now, as times change, some people, there will always be trucks, but others, but there are other form factors that will become more dominant.
Now, to kill this metaphor, or to beat it to death, I would say that the future is more of a crossover kind of vehicle, because I think that as we said in the past,
perhaps an electric SUV.
Yes, exactly. iPads and the competing devices based on Android or whatever are going to become more PC-like, in the sense that they will provide more functionality that we expect from PCs, like printing and things like that, and just more capabilities in general. And that PCs will be influenced on the bottom end as well by the simplicity and battery life and the kind of unique capabilities that you get in a device that is innately designed for touch, and where touch isn't just something that's slapped on the top. So I think they're both going to evolve as a result, and we'll see where we end up. But I'm starting to buy into the notion that maybe it's going to be, for the masses anyway, maybe not for me personally, but for the masses, closer to that iPad type device than it is to a box with a bunch of cables coming out the back.
Who actually has a lot to lose here, and who must be at this point scrambling a little bit, it's not Microsoft, it's Intel. Microsoft just ports to ARM.
It's
Intel.
Intel, I would say Intel is in a less precarious position in many ways, because they have shown historically an ability to change with the times.
But none of these devices they're all ARM.
No, now they don't. But see, this is that netbook story again. We could see Intel come from behind, and they have a system on a chip design coming. They have very small device designs,
that's what they announced, Sandy Bridge.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think look, no matter what we're talking about from a technology standpoint, if it's hardware or software, operating systems, platforms, whatever it is, let the best tech win, whatever it is. If it's Intel or Microsoft, or if it's Apple or ARM or whatever it is, ultimately, I don't really care. I mean, I'm like the Windows guy, I get it. But honestly, what I'm really about is just, good technology. And I don't really care where it comes from, as long as it's the best solution for the most people, I guess is the way I put it.
The greater good.
So we're renaming the podcast.
That's the best solution podcast for the greater good.
To ARM Weekly.
ARM Weekly. I wouldn't want to do an ARM Weekly podcast, to be honest. I think that's one of the things that really, more importantly, has changed, is that we've gone from a world where enthusiasts knew and cared what was inside to a world where we don't care. How does it work for me?
You stop caring. What's interesting is, maybe an iPad is a good or a bad example, I don't know. But you look at something like an iPad and you think, really, 1 gigahertz processor? Wow, that doesn't sound very powerful, But then you use it, and it's snappy,
Well, and most people don't even know. Go down the street and ask people what's the processor, ask them how much
right.
RAM.
No, they wouldn't know, but I'm talking about it from the perspective of more technical people, where we're used to kind of living on the edge and having all those details in the back of our heads, and we know, the differences between different technical specifications and so forth. And maybe for a lot of this stuff, it doesn't really matter. And it's funny when you think about cars and trucks, like Steve Jobs said. What this is really like is the transition to a more mainstream type of product, because as with cars, we don't have to know how it works internally to use it effectively.
Right.
And I think I think for a lot of us, we sort of assume this must have already happened, but I think it's actually just happening now.
Well, I think CES is where you go to see kind of the outward signs of what is happening. It's probably not a great place to read tea leaves, because you're really talking about forest for the trees. I mean, you're in the trees, you're in the woods.
There's a lot of noise at CES. And I read this somewhere. It's like, I can't remember who said this. I think it was a quote from, actually, I think David Pogue wrote this. He interviewed a guy who said, CES is like watching kids play soccer. It's a bunch of kids running
follow the ball. Follow the ball.
That's actually a good description, because
right. It's very good.
throw the iPad in the middle of a field and watch them all scramble.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're like.
There's definitely a pack mentality and a herd mentality in the journalists.
Sure. This thing is popular. We must make one.
Well, I'll give you an example. But yes, so manufacturers too. But I'll give you an example. Journalists went there saying it's going to be tablets. And I don't think that was the story, but that's the story they told, because that's what they went there expecting, and so that's what they saw.
Yeah, the world, it often turns out differently than you expect. I mean, this is true. We have some information about PC sales, for example, where if you go back and look at what these people predicted for this year, and then you look at what they're writing now, it's interesting. Some of the things that were accurate and some of the things that weren't. But one of the things I pulled out of the Microsoft keynote address was that, and you can go look this up yourself, Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer didn't utter the word tablet until his closing remarks.
You would never have known that.
Yeah.
You would never have known that. All the pre-CES coverage was he's going to announce.
Remember, his keynote was going to be all about responding to the iPad.
Yep.
No, he didn't mention that. Now, that, as I also wrote, I mean, that's either crazy or crazy like a fox.
Crazy like a fox. Well, he did.
Depending on your perspective.
He didn't announce some things that people said for instance, a set-top box running Windows Media Center for $200. No word.
No word. And yet there were those boxes at the show.
They just were there. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know it's hard to get lost in that sea.
I didn't see any, and I regret that. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen those.
Yeah, no, some of them were announced. I mean, look, what you're looking at is nothing unfamiliar if you know what Windows 7 looks like, right? Because it's an embedded, componentized version of Windows that already exists. Media Center is one of the components. Anyone from a manufacturer perspective can license that, put it in their product, sell it for whatever they want to sell it for. So that already exists. So it's not surprising that there are some of those out there, but they clearly weren't pushing that. Microsoft, that is, is a big deal. So that should give people a little pause.
I want to get this cheap Surface. It's only like $2,400 or something.
I heard it was 8,000. Is that not correct?
It was. Oh, okay. Maybe I just misread. It's 8,000. Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought for 2,000 it might be worth. I thought he announced it was going to be cheaper. Surface
it is cheaper.
2.
The other one was like 30,000.
Oh, okay.
The other one was like a ruggedized Surface. You had to be a casino or a certain kind of restaurant or a hotel or something. To purchase such a thing.
7,600. I guess I thought the 7 was a 2.
This is, by the way, a huge jump from the technology in V1 to V2. And you can see what this is going down. I wouldn't be surprised if next CS.
That's what we want.
This is a consumer product.
This is the tablet we want. Yeah.
I think a lot of people made fun of Surface and thought, yeah, okay, this is some big dumb thing, but this is Microsoft's stab at that computing Surface anywhere, whether it's a table in your living room or the wall, where you project movies and so forth, and that Minority Report style UI that we all desperately want for some reason.
Yeah, and when we get it, I think we may not want it so much.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really want to be going like this. Although, Kinect does that. Actually, it's pretty cool, but it's limited. You're standing up already. You're engaged. You're not going to do that.
Anyone who's used Kinect will know one of the things you have to do to interact with it is you have to select something. So you put your hand up,
Right.
hold it,
Wait.
hold it.
Wait.
Now,
And then
if
it
your
goes,
Connect is not correctly synchronized, I forget
Right.
what the right term is, and my wife has problems with this. You get there and you're holding your hand up. I don't put my hand up, but the little on-screen hand is kind of spazzing around in a
Right.
circle, and it's not
good.
sitting still.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
So this stuff has a ways to go. It's not as seamless as maybe it should be or it could be.
I think Surface will be interesting.
It's getting there.
Yeah,
Surface was interesting. Microsoft has a good story with the Xbox 360 in many ways, thanks to Kinect, and we'll see. Although there's some warning signs for this.
That demo is just wonderful. It just makes me want to spend $7,600 right now.
Yeah, but what will happen is you'll
doing?
make a piece of paper that says "I can see," and you'll put it on there, and it will scan it, and then you'll be like,
now
"Now
what?
what?" How did I do that?
Okay.
It's the knife. I don't know. That's neat. Look, it's a fish pond. You can push your finger through it and ripple the water. Why do you get outside and do that outside?
All right, we're going to talk more.
There's
Paul.
a little bit of extra feedback when you do that to real water, by the way.
You get wet. Let's take a little break. Come back. We're going to talk more with Paul Thurrott, the editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows, SuperSite.com and all that. And a great man. You are a great man, Paul. You are.
I'm something.
I want to say that. You're getting less great as you lose weight.
Yes. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Oh, I meant great in terms of just raw size.
Like the white whale, great.
Yeah, great white whale, great.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
But you are less great now.
Yes.
Which means you're no less wonderful, just less. How much have you lost?
8 pounds.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, not exactly whale meat, but that's awesome.
Right. I'll get there.
I got that book that you recommended, by the way.
I listen. I'm not going to. I promised I wouldn't talk about this every week on the podcast, but I'm telling you, that's the book.
Yeah.
It's it.
I can't wait. I'm reading it, and
All you need to know.
maybe we'll be in a race to the bottom.
I've already heard from the crazy guys who accept the status quo. The conventional wisdom. The calories in, calories out. Sounds like it makes sense, so that must be right, and it's not. And this is a little eye opener for everyone in this country, especially, but around the world too. Yep. I mean, anyway, sorry.
Let's talk about Carbonite.
Because
when you lose all that weight, it's probably a good idea to back it up in case you want it back. No, don't back up the weight, but do back up your data. Do back up your stuff. Carbonite is the best way to back up. Automatic, off-site backup. That's key to me. You can't have to think about it. It has to just happen, right? It has to be automatic. And best of all, Carbonite, one low rate, Mac or PC, $55 a year, 15 cents a day. And it's everything on your internal drive. So you don't have to say, oh, is this too much? Is this going to cost me more? If there's some services you pay for the storage and the bandwidth. No, not Carbonite, $55. That's it. Keep listening. I'm going to tell you how you could actually get 2 free months. So here's the deal. Carbonite.com. You put it on your Mac or your PC. It immediately starts using your internet access to back up. Whenever you're online, it's backing up. Doesn't slow you down. Doesn't slow your internet down. It's very smart. It watches. It encrypts. It uses 128-bit SSL, so you can even use it at open access spots and not worry about your security. And if you want more, Triple Des and Blowfish as well, so you can fully encrypt it so that that data really is private and secure. But it's available. You don't have to reinstall. If you lose your laptop, if your hard drive goes, you don't have to reinstall or anything. You can go to any other computer, log into your Carbonite account. There's your stuff. They even have an iPhone app for free and a BlackBerry app for free. So your stuff is available no matter where you are. I really like that. You can validate that it's being backed up, for instance. Now, try it free for 15 days. You go to Carbonite.com, use the offer code WINDOWS, 2 weeks free. If you decide, and I want you to try before you buy. We tell all of our advertisers, please let our audience have a trial because we really want you to say, this is it. So try before you buy. If you like it, you'll get 2 months off when you use the coupon code WINDOWS on checkout. How about that? 2 months free. Carbonite.com. You got to back it up to get it back, so do it right with Carbonite. All right, Paul, let's talk. What else do you want to talk about? There's so much here.
There's a lot here.
Retail numbers for video games.
Right. Actually, we can't really talk too much about that yet because the numbers will come out tonight, apparently.
But you said, and this shocked me, that the 360 is not the
virtually
number,
neck and neck. Yeah,
with the at the bottom.
Yep,
that shocked me. I just love the 360.
The 360 also shipped 1 year before the PS3.
Ooh.
If you eliminated that 1 year head start, PS3 and the 360 would be equal, or the PS3 would be ahead.
Oh, that's not good.
Now, that's odd to me because, of course, and I live in somewhat of a Microsoft-oriented world. I get that. But I pay attention to what's going on in the outside world. I've rarely had the sense of any huge momentum on the part of the PS3. Obviously, it was languishing for a while there. But they clearly have done some kind of turnaround, and that's pretty impressive. So we'll see if the Kinect changes that.
8 million units, that's pretty good. Although when you're talking, units like 51 million units, 8. Well,
okay. Notice the figure they didn't release, which was new customers to the Xbox 360 who bought 360 plus Kinect. Was this 8 million units, 7.9 of which went to existing customers? That's not necessarily excellent. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see. So tonight, I guess, NPD no longer comes out with their U.S. figures publicly, but they release them to the companies, and then the companies release them themselves. Microsoft has already sent out a kind of a strange little warning, which was via Twitter. They said that they pretty much sold out of the 360 somehow late into December. Thus, they weren't able to sell as many as they would have been able to sell otherwise, which is kind of a weird, it almost suggests the sales for that month aren't going to be as high as they expected. That's interesting. We'll see. Again, we'll have to see. But, the video game business itself is actually pretty flat overall, and hopefully not in a huge decline. We're going to find that out as well. So we'll see. We'll see what that looks like when that happens. From a PC sales perspective, it was pretty much exactly where they said it was going to be. 350 million PCs sold for the year, up from 300 the year before. There's some talk about whether the iPad had some effect on consumer sales, especially late in the year, and we're going to have to wait and see because we don't know how many Apple sold. But I kind of did some math on that, and the way I look at it is, even if Apple had a blockbuster quarter for the iPad, I don't think there's much evidence that this has impacted PC sales when you consider the fact that PC sales grew almost 14% for the year, and in fact, we're exactly where they said they were going to be a year ago. So we'll see. We'll see how that falls out. I think next year, not just the iPad, but also these competing devices, the Motorola Zoom and all those Android devices, to a lesser degree, perhaps the WebOS device from HP, the RIM Playbook. I think they're all going to have their own
I really like the
impact.
I was surprised how much I liked the Playbook, to be honest with you.
Yeah. What's missing from that list, Leo, is a Windows tablet. And I'm a little concerned about that because we all know how they botched last year with the CES keynote promising tablets and nothing impressive happened. So this year, their answer is, yeah, we're not, was nothing. Actually, it was silence. And then there will be Windows tablets, but those are just PCs. They're not new types of devices. So I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah, I was surprised the Zoom, and we've talked about this on other shows, that the Zoom won Best of Show when it was just showing a video of what it might work like.
Sure.
Whereas the Playbook really worked well.
But, Google is not a company, I think, that's known for good UI necessarily,
Right.
but this honeycomb thing that's on...
People were surprised, I guess.
It looked good. It looked nice.
Right.
We'll see. It seems like there is a portion of the world, and it may be split 50-50, that is A-okay with Apple doing this. They want the Apple device, they're okay with it. And then there's the other 50% who are just begging for someone to put out something that is comparable.
Right.
Seriously, it is.
Oh, competition is what we need. We need competition.
Yeah. I don't really see it that way personally. But I think it's interesting. And based on my own email, I get email all the time from people like, seriously, you get it right. There's got to be some Windows tablet that makes a lot of sense. And I don't think there is, and I don't see it coming either. So I don't know what to say. I'll look at them. But
I was surprised, yeah. But maybe Microsoft made the decision, and I think probably correct, that Windows 7 is not a tablet OS. Do you think? Well, we said this. Surface, maybe, for instance, the Touch OS that But it's still running on Windows
Surface
7,
is now
isn't it?
based on Windows 7.
Yeah.
The new version is Windows 7.
And it's
I
really,
actually think that's okay. I think for something like Surface, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The problem is when you get into these very small devices, not just tablets, but sub-tablet sized devices. Microsoft's strategy to push their mainstream version of Windows tells us two things about the company. One, a certain crowd at the company has got the ear and the influence of Steve Ballmer and is now making the shots. And they're making the wrong decision.
This is exactly the structural problem we've seen before at Microsoft.
Yeah.
These fiefdoms.
Windows is successful at one thing, and that is on PCs, full-blown PCs. And it's hugely successful. When Microsoft has pushed Windows onto other form factors, tablet PCs, media center PCs, ultra-mobile PCs, it has failed in the most egregious fashion possible. And you have to think that at the end of the day, the ability to run Microsoft Windows 8 or whatever it's called with Microsoft Office on a chip that's the size of your fingernail is not that important to people. That application would not run properly or look right on a small screen.
It would be a disappointing user experience, I think.
Yeah, so maybe what we're heading toward are ultra small PCs, PCs that would make the Mac Mini look like a white whale by comparison. Wow, and okay, I guess that's okay, but you're going to need a big screen and a keyboard and a mouse. That's what this thing is optimized for. So I'm not excited by this. I mean, I just don't. And by the way, if this thing delays Windows 8, if this is, there was some kind of wishy-washy language, 2 to 3 years down the road now they're talking. Great,
Yeah. Can I use one word? Longhorn.
Sure. Right.
WinFS.
Sure.
Microsoft's been distracted before.
Yep.
And it really hurt Vista. It took 5 years to get out. You're right. We've seen them get distracted before like this.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Windows 7 is great for what it is. It is great, but it's important for people to remember that Microsoft could have fed you anything after Windows Vista, and you would have been excited by it. And they proved that with this Mojave project thing, which was just Windows Vista. Show people Vista, but call it something else, and they already love it. Right. I mean, how hard is it to fix this problem? It's not that hard. Windows 7 was a minor update. It didn't really have any major new features. A lot of fit and finish work, a lot of refinement, which is absolutely valuable to do. That's the type of thing that should happen quickly, and let's move on to the next version. If we keep this product in the market for years and years and don't have any next version coming down the road, I mean, I think this speaks to the maturation of the market, but also to just the general level of stagnation in this market. It becomes uninteresting. And I think the world, like I said, I think the world's moving on. I mean, they're going to, they'll come out with Windows 8 and we'll all be on iPads. I don't understand. I just don't understand what they're doing. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I'm confused.
At least
I'm not alone, or whatever that's.
No, you're not alone. And I don't. I think it goes without saying that Microsoft still has great desktop operating system software. What happened, by the way, with Windows? Okay,
go ahead.
Let's continue the Microsoft Love Fest.
Yeah.
What happened with Windows Home Server? Is that? I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that while you're drinking. That was bad timing. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? At least it didn't come through his nose.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Some people are running the beta. I guess they call it a public preview version of Windows Home Server Veil. The next version, the last version to have Drive Extender. Enjoy it while it lasts. It expired on Monday.
Oh no! With no update?
Well, until Monday afternoon, Microsoft's official stance was, look, you've known this was coming. I actually didn't know it was coming, but whatever. I mean, you know what you're getting into. You're running beta software. I mean, you have no one to blame but yourself. I do get that. But they said, the reason it was expiring was originally the final version would have been out by now, so it wouldn't have been a problem.
That's what you do. You expire betas, so people go to the final version.
But they delayed it because they stripped that technology out. So now the next version's not going to be out for about 3 weeks or whatever. And rather than accommodate the people who are running the beta, they said, well, screw it. you shouldn't be using it anyway.
Well,
we're not going to do anything about it.
I'm sorry, I'm hyperventilating. What happens then?
Yeah. Now, the problem for me personally was I was out for the weekend doing that focus group we talked about. And I found out about this via email while I was at the focus group and unavailable to do anything about it. So when I got home Sunday night, I was talking to Rafael Rivera, my co-author on the Windows 7 Secrets book, and I said, "You gotta find a workaround to this. I'm screwed here. You know, I've got."
Does it just stop working? Does it not work?
Yeah, that was what I thought was going to happen. It wasn't actually that bad. The way it works is it will reboot every hour on the hour until March. That was how it was going to work. So what I did was I think maybe even Saturday night I got home and I copied some of the data that I had on my own server to a different place. So if you think about what might be on the server, obviously you have documents. I've got a decade and a half of work notes and all that kind of stuff and personal stuff. I've got photos dating back also over a decade, home videos. I've got, ripped movies and so forth, and my music collection.
You shouldn't have done that, Paul.
Okay. No, I understand. It was my fault.
It's your fault.
So, and then on Monday, I spent much of the day copying my video collection onto the Drobo, which was slower than it should have been over ESAT. I don't know what was going on there, but
that's supposed
eventually
to be the
Microsoft on late Monday, they released it. They released a workaround. Actually, it turns out this workaround was out there. It was you install the release candidate version of Service Pack 1 for Windows Server 2008 R2, which is what the server, that home server is based on. And then you have to re-register with a new product key, which they provided via Connect, their Connect website for beta testers. And, you reboot a couple of times. And then now you're okay through March. I was able to get everything backed up before the end of the day. But what was interesting, when you remote desktop into the server, there was a window popping up at the top of very hours. You have 2 hours left. You have 1 hour left, And, if you had run past the end time and they hadn't fixed it, what would have happened is you would have been scrambling to back this data up, but the thing would have rebooted every hour. So you'd really have to sit on top of it to have an understanding of what you had copied and what you hadn't copied. And
I got to tell you, that's a colossal fail because, yes, it's a beta, but who installs these? Your biggest fans.
I know.
The people who care the most about Windows.
Exactly what I was going to say. So the audience for Windows Home Server in general is small. The audience of people who actually installed Windows Home Server Vail public preview and are using it as their actual home-based environment, even smaller. I understand that. Those guys are your best customers, and you just kind of gave them the middle finger.
Worse than that. You
fixing it at the last minute is almost worse than not fixing it. Yeah. It's like it's an afterthought.
You set up an unfortunate thing in the back of all those most important clients' minds that maybe I can't trust Microsoft with my data.
Yeah, so
that's the worst thing you could do.
I know, and I've gotten a lot of email from people about this who are actively now just I don't care what they do next. I'm just moving on to something else, including some close friends, and
it's horrible.
It's tough. I still can't say what I'm going to do, but I feel it. I feel that futility thing, and it's sad because it's, again, I think the majority of people out there have no idea what I'm talking about. They've never even used it. But I'm telling you, Windows Home Server is, or at least was, something very, very special. And watching this thing get neutered right in front of you has been painful at best. And, this is just the latest little,
That's got to hurt.
Yeah, it's just awful. I mean, it's too bad. It's
got to hurt.
Yeah.
And somebody really did something bad there. That's just I really feel bad. That's just not great. Hey, some Windows Phone news. We got to take a break. We're going to come back. Paul Thurrott, he is here, editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows. Coming up in about 20 minutes, we're going to do a little special with the Make magazine folks. Dale Dougherty and company are here to talk about making, which we all like to do. Maybe you want to make a website. If you do, can I tell you where to go? Squarespace.com. The secret behind exceptional websites. I'm a big Squarespace fan. We use it for our Inside TWiT blog, inside.twit.tv. The nice thing about it is you can look at a Squarespace blog, and it doesn't, look like a Squarespace blog. Each one is unique, individual, and beautiful. And that's because Squarespace starts with these great templates so that, here's Stacy Day, modern classic paper. I guess she sells wedding invitations, birth announcements. Now, that's one. That's beautiful. And by the way, you'll notice that a lot of the examples on the site, and these are all real companies, are companies that rely on people and design. These are designers. These are people who say, my site has to look good. And with Squarespace, it does. But you don't have to be an XML expert or a CSS expert. You just go to squarespace.com, pick from one of the starter templates, there's 60 of them, and customize your little heart out. And you're going to get a great looking site that's all your own. Plus, import from existing platforms, movable type, WordPress, TypePad, the Blogger API. That means pretty much everything. That's not just content, that's comments, that's links, they work, the pictures are there, everything. And you can do this absolutely free with not even a credit card. So if you go right now to squarespace.com/windows, set up your first site for free, any site. You can set up 100 for free. They're good for 14 days. This is a great way to show example sites to clients, to try out Squarespace, see if it's right for you. Just all you need is a name, a password, an email address if you forget the password, and a CAPTCHA. They didn't even make you enter the password twice. They really want to make this easy. No credit card, no personal information. Boom, boom. Now you're ready to go. Set up that site. See how it feels. See how it looks. Take a look at the advanced stats package, the forums that you can use, all the little plugins and things. It's just great. If you decide you want to buy $12 a month or less as time goes by, you know, the more you buy, the less it costs. And I'm going to take another 10% off if you use the promo code WINDOWS. That means 10% for the life of your site, by the way, not just for the first month or year. All this stuff. Squarespace is amazing. And by the way, it's hosting plus software, and it's the best hosting out there. It just never goes down. It's reliable. And if you get hit by a lot of bandwidth, you know, somebody mentions you on TWiT, don't worry. We've never brought a Squarespace site down, ever. We brought everybody else down. Everybody else we've brought down, not Squarespace. Squarespace.com/windows. Give it a try today. We use it and love it, and so should you. Windows Phone news. More carriers. I think
Squarespace. I love Squarespace.
I know, it's fun to play with. Just go look at the examples. It's so fun to play with them. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
And you poor guy, you have to.
I have a Squarespace account. I just don't have a site to put it on.
Yeah, your site. You use his own. He uses his own custom built
something else. Anyway,
we won't talk about that.
Something not as good.
Not as good.
This is what it is.
I think they announced, didn't they, that Verizon and Sprint are going to get the Windows Phone at the same time as that Windows Phone update comes out, like in the next month or so, right?
Actually, if you go back and look at what they said, that isn't quite it. Oh. So, in Steve Ballmer's keynote address, you can go and look this up. You know, he said there are a number of updates coming over the next several months.
Cut and paste first.
One of them will have that cut and paste stuff and some other things, and then another one will have the CDMA stuff necessary to get this phone on Verizon and Sprint. Now, I need to preface this by saying Steve Ballmer is a guy who tends to just blurt stuff out and say things, and obviously
even in a keynote, isn't he quite prepared?
Well, sure. I was going to say he's being teleprompted, right? Now, that said, we don't know that what he said matches what's on the thing.
Right.
So what he said was that Microsoft would, in the first half of 2011, ship an update that would finish creating an update that would provide CDMA compatibility for Windows Phone. Now, he did not say Verizon and Sprint will be selling these devices in the first half of 2011.
He didn't even say devices. He said, we'll finish an update. Somebody's still got to build a phone.
Yeah, Microsoft will finish developing this update. Now, that's a very different story. So I went back and looked around and asked people, and I wrote a little post about it. And someone did come back with, I guess, I think it was Aaron Woodman or one of the guys at Microsoft was interviewed by the Seattle Times, and he did say explicitly that Verizon and Sprint would be selling devices based on Windows Phone by the end of the first half of this year. So there's been some question about whether this will happen sooner or later. I mean, the information I had was, previous to CES was that the announcement would happen in January and that device availability would happen very quickly, much closer to the beginning of the year than to the middle of the year. So we'll see, but that's it's interesting when you parse what people actually say. It's the variance there is important, I think, in this case, because again, this is a hot button issue. There are a lot of people. I get email every single day. When's it happening? When's it happening? When's it happening? There's some interest out there. I mean, obviously with the iPhone being on Verizon, that's a little problem as well from a Windows Phone perspective.
Do you care? I mean, you're happy with your AT&T, right?
Do I care? Oh, about Verizon?
No, personally.
No,
I mean,
personally.
you're happy with your carrier. The phone works good for you, right?
The phone is night and day on AT&T compared to the iPhone, actually.
And you know, if a lot of iPhone people move off AT&T, that's just to make it better for you. I say let them go.
Okay. Okay.
I say let them go.
AT&T has done a lot of work to improve their network, and I would have to say, just using a couple of three different Windows phones since July, clearly some of the problems on the iPhone side. You know, I've only dropped one call ever to this day on Windows Phone, and it was actually on the day of I think it was the day of the launch, if I'm not mistaken, or the day after. But it was in New York City in a cab, moving between the skyscrapers on Manhattan, you know, on Manhattan Island, and you know, that's the type of situation where I think we could give the phone a pass on that one. It's not, you know, there's all kinds of crazy problems in a place like that. That's the only time I've ever dropped a call on that phone. Anyone who has an iPhone virtually will tell you this. They drop calls all the time. It was a running joke with my wife.
Oh yeah, anytime you don't want to have a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
call
my brother who knows nothing about technology will joke on the phone about, oh, sorry, I didn't hear you, iPhone. You know, like we'll blame the iPhone when someone says something stupid. We'll pretend we didn't hear it and blame the iPhone. You know, that neither has.
It's the new. I'm breaking up. It's I'm on an iPhone.
So, yeah, I wanted to say, you know, as a cautionary tale for those people who are looking at jumping to Verizon because they have an iPhone 4 and they want one on Verizon, it's not that clear cut. I think there are a number of issues that, you know, if we had just talked about this a year ago and we said, hey, Leo, you know, you can get the iPhone 4 on Verizon, I think a lot of people would say, jump right now, go.
Oh, yeah, that was the big thing.
I don't think it's that much of a slam. I don't think this is as clear cut as people think it is.
I agree now.
I think that people will have a better experience making phone calls simply because I think the Verizon network is better. I think that's going to happen.
But there's other issues like this thing you can't do data and phones at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the real world value of that is, but yes, that's one thing. I have a bigger concern around this. We know Apple's coming out with a new iPhone mid-year.
Right.
Are you really going to start a new contract now?
Think how pissed people are going to be.
Well, and it's 3G, not 4G or LTE or whatever Verizon calls it today. Yeah. I mean, is there a concern that what if the next one comes out in 3-4 months?
Which it will.
And it is LTE. I mean, wouldn't you feel dumb?
Yeah.
Apple, based on some videos I saw, which I think were very compelling, made some interesting changes to that flawed antenna design as well of the iPhone 4. Will that work? I mean, this is a brand new device. I mean, we'll have to see. There's some interesting. I guess what I'm saying is, it sounds, generally speaking, like this would be a slam dunk. I don't know that it is. So, I think for iPhone, I think if you already have an iPhone 4, that is, you should wait. You should wait until you see what Apple says about the iPhone 5 or whatever they call that. If you're already on Verizon and you want to switch phones, and maybe you've been waiting for this moment, I don't know. I mean, it seems like you should almost wait too, because again, I want to wait for that next device. I mean, I think they're going to sell a lot of them. And maybe they'll sell them to people who don't care. You know, you and I tend to live on the leading edge. We're always looking at the next thing. And maybe that actually isn't a concern for most people. And if that's the case, obviously they're not listening to this podcast anyway, so who cares what I think. But it's interesting to me to watch this groundswell of enthusiasm around Verizon. They've never been put to the test like this before. Mm-hmm. Their website went down.
Yes.
I mean, are you seriously?
That wasn't a good start.
Not that that's related to their network, but
no, but you
couldn't even handle people filling out a form to tell me more when this happened.
What it shows is the same exact underestimating demand that AT&T has done for the last 3 years on Verizon's part. You think they'd know by now? Oh, maybe somebody will hit your website when you announce this. Yeah. So that scares me a little bit.
As bad as AT&T either is or as bad as people think AT&T is, I will say this. They have had 3.5, almost 4 years now of experience with the iPhone and the stress that those customers put on their networks. They've invested millions and millions of dollars improving their infrastructure, not just improving their infrastructure, but specifically for this kind of data usage. I don't know. You want to go to someone new, really? You think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence? I think you should be careful.
Well, sir, I would agree 100% with you if you already have it. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I already have an iPhone on AT&T. As much as AT&T sucks where I am, there's no way in the world I'm going to get a Verizon iPhone because I will get a 5.
Was I'm going to get one.
Yeah.
And I'll write about it, and we'll see what happens. But then I thought, this is what a waste, right? Why would I do that?
Yeah, we already get beat up enough by getting phones out of cycle. Let's not make it a 5-month turnaround. That's just too painful.
Right. Apple's giving you a new opportunity to buy its last generation device in the waning months of its life cycle.
Throw some more money down that hole. Come on.
I mean, really? Is that's what you want to do? It's crazy.
Apple, the money pit?
Well, I just think, look, if you've suffered on Verizon with whatever phone you have, a couple of more months isn't going to kill you. It's like the iPad argument. The new one's coming. Why would you buy one now?
Well, somebody said, we don't know the new one's coming. We're just assuming. Yeah. But I think that they're going to do. They have.
Apple does what Apple does.
I don't think they care whether you have an upgrade issue with Verizon.
No, they certainly don't
bother them.
They would love for you to have an issue so that you upgrade again.
Buy more.
It's
good for the economy.
Yes, thank you. Otherwise, the terrorists win.
The terrorists win. Let's see. App Store. App Store. You want to skip
the
that?
App Store is interesting.
Microsoft. So Apple has the App Store now on Snow Leopard, and I'm actually scared because it's really good, really compelling. Developers love it, end users love it, which means more and more software is going to be sold that way and less the traditional way. And I'm not sure that's good.
Scared? What's the problem?
I think that's bad. I think that it's so good that we're going to see an iOS type situation where Apple approves all software for Macintosh.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And there's no GPL software or less accessibility to GPL software because it will not work on the store because GPL is incompatible with a license.
Okay, but the one difference between this and iOS, unless they change things, is that this doesn't prevent that other form of app.
It doesn't
acquisition
yet.
Well, right,
but it may de facto because everybody will love it so much.
Computing devices are going to meet in the middle. Maybe that's one of the ways they meet in the middle.
I think so. I think people will love this experience so much that. Yes, you know what? I don't think they will ever deprecate the ability to just buy stuff as they have on iOS. Right. There'll always be third-party ways to buy stuff, but it will be less and less obvious as more and more stuff gets sold in the App Store. Pretty soon, people will not even know that the normal person will not even know you can buy software somewhere besides the App Store.
But from the perspective of a consumer, the user of that computer system. To me, it's still an advantage.
Yeah, I know. No,
I'm
not
discoverable. Listen, my wife or my mother is not going to walk into Best Buy to see what's new in the App Store.
That's why I'm scared.
But they might on the computer.
I love it, and I
find myself compulsively. If you use an iPad or an iPhone or iPod Touch, you almost compulsively visit the App Store, and you browse for apps in a way you never would in the real world or on Amazon.com or any other traditional kind of retailer, right? There is I don't know if it's psychological or whatever, but there's a difference. Now there's a problem with that, of course, because when you make it too easy to buy, you buy, and obviously applications on the Mac App Store or a PC App Store cost a lot more, than the iOS apps that cost $1 or $2. So we'll cross that bridge.
It's great. It's great for users. It's really good for developers. It's just bad for the ecosystem is all I'm saying. And the problem is nobody cares.
I think ultimately this helps the Mac platform. I think one of these on the PC side would help the Windows platform. I know what you're saying. I think it's important to raise these concerns. But, in this case, Apple, whoever we're talking about, whatever the company is providing us, you have to keep them honest. And hopefully there's this, ultimately, if Apple stuff isn't selling, they'll have to change the way they do things. So,
Crete Tree gave me a good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Third-party apps are going to be the equivalent of vinyl records. Yeah, you can get one, but where?
and why?
And who knows they even exist?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Bob Mulia, is he important? He's leaving Microsoft? He was
leaving Microsoft. Yeah, he ran the server and tools division. Those are the guys who are responsible for Windows Server and all the SQL Server products, as well as the Visual Studio tools and so forth. And he was actually ousted. And it's the bizarre part about this is based on a letter from Steve Ballmer that was publicly released, he actually said, we had a discussion about the future of this business, and I decided to let him go.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Ow.
Now, Bob Muglia is the latest in a long list of people who have been ousted, basically, from Microsoft or have left in recent months.
He's been
High-level
there
exec.
23 years.
Yeah, not the entire time as the leader of the server and tool business, but he's a guy who's been around forever. Great guy. I often miswrite his name as Bog Muglia because I have some kind of weird form of written dyslexia. But yeah, this is a weird one because he's just a good guy, and he seemed like he really embraced the future of that division, which was this cloud computing thing. You know, they launched Windows Azure under him. They are transitioning all of their server products to optionally to services that Microsoft will host and you can subscribe to. He seemed like he was completely on board with all that, and they did a great job. And when you think about the future of computing and how we're moving cloud computing, I'd have to say the server and tool business at Microsoft is the one, logically enough, that has embraced this future far more than any other part of the country, and they've done a great job with it. It's been a real kind of steady sailing, steady growth. They've done great. Year over year, quarter over quarter, and now he's gone. And it just raises a lot of questions. And it goes back to the thing we were talking about where, Steve Ballmer has clearly gone in a certain direction and he's put his trust in a certain group of people. And there's a growing clamor from the outside world, at least, and possibly internally at Microsoft as well, of people that just don't agree with it. And I don't know what else to say. I'm not there, so I can't speak to the internal stuff at Microsoft, but it seems like this has caused some ripple effect.
So it's clear he was fired.
Oh yeah, it's in the letter. He was let go.
Now is the time to put new leadership in place, says Ballmer. Huh?
Yeah,
well,
I think
a
lot of people echoing that sentiment, but not necessarily just about Bob Muglia.
Right.
It's too bad.
Well, the guy's 23 years. He's probably a billionaire by now. So,
I don't know. Okay, but
he'll go live on his 87-foot sailboat.
He was one of the good guys, and it looked like he was doing a great job to me, anyway. And
I think tools and servers are actually very strong for Microsoft.
Yeah, actually, right.
Except for Windows Home Server.
In part, it's not just him, obviously, but the server business is credited for creating that third spoke of the Microsoft business, where everyone thinks of Microsoft as Windows and Office, but there's a third piece to it, and that third piece is server.
It's not sexy, but it's solid.
Sexy, but it's just solid results again
solid.
and again. Yeah.
Maybe Bill Gates will call Steve Ballmer and said, "We're going to have a conversation about the future of the business."
I bet they do have conversations like that. I don't think those guys are sitting on the beach drinking pina coladas a lot. There's a lot of arguing that goes on there. That's how I imagine it.
I think Bill should release some mosquitoes in Ballmer's office.
Right, that he collected from Africa or something.
Tsetse flies. Let us. I'll tell you what.
We can just jump ahead. So
I want to do the Windows App of the Week, the software pick of the week. I want to. We're going to get to all that.
Yeah, I know. We're running out of time here. So
yeah, I'm sorry, and it's my fault.
No, it's okay.
But
it's okay, Leo. I don't have anything to say.
No, you got a lot to say, boy.
Sorry. So
I love talking with you, but hang on. We want to mention Ford real quickly, and then you forget. Don't forget Ford.
Sorry.
Actually, that's the wrong Ford URL. I want to give out the new one. Did you see that Ford announced at CES a new car, and not at the Detroit Auto Show, but at CES, which I think is just fantastic.
Right.
I love that. Ford is basically saying today's cars are consumer electronics devices. Yeah. And this new Focus Electric, I could tell you right now, is my next car. I was so excited by it. I got to sit in it. I got to look at it. The price is very aggressive. There are going to be diesel, electric, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and gas versions of this one car, all in the same assembly lines all over the world. It's really an amazing engineering feat. But I want the electric. 3 hours charge time. If you want to get a charger station in your house, you call the Geek Squad and they come over and put it in, which I thought was really funny. They had a little on the keynote. They had the Geek Squad come out with and install a charger on the stage. It's a sweet looking car, let me tell you. And, of course, you're going to have great capacity. It's going to work with 120-volt outlets, but if you have the 220 or 240 put in, you're going to get 3-hour charging. The cost per, this is the new metric, miles per charge, not miles per gallon, miles per charge, will be the lowest in the industry. I'm just very excited about it. And, of course, you got your sync in there. And they've updated sync to work with the electric so that with sync, not only do you do the hands-free calling, the turn-by-turn directions, the 911 alerts, the climate entertainment, playing the music and all that stuff, but it also manages your battery. You can actually talk to your battery. And they're going to have an iPhone app. They're going to have an Android app. I'm sure they'll have a Windows Phone 7 app because, as you know, Sync is built on Microsoft Car so that you can use your phone and talk to your car. More than 10,000 voice commands now. I'm such a fan of what Ford is up to. I think these guys are true innovators, and they've taken basically what is 20th century industrial technology and moved it into the 21st century in the most innovative and intelligent way I've ever seen. It's so impressive. You want to know more about the new Ford Focus Electric, the 2012 Electric Focus, go to focuselectricpower.com. focuselectricpower.com. And don't forget, go to your Lincoln, your Ford, your Mercury dealer, take a look at the Ford Sync. And if you're at Lincoln or Ford dealers at the My Ford Touch, you're going to love it. And this is my next car. I can't wait to get it. focuselectricpower.com. Paul Thurrott, let's get your app. What is it? Your Windows 7 app of the week? What are we doing? The tip of the week? No, the app. Windows Phone 7 app of the week. I'm looking at the notes. I don't read so good anymore.
Yeah, it's okay.
I got my bifocals
I can take
on.
it from here.
Did you see? There was at CES, there were bifocals that you look down, they automatically refocus. They're regular glasses.
Oh, nice.
They have a thin, invisible LCD like layer in there, and you can swipe them like this. You swipe the temple.
That's what you want. Your finger on your glasses.
If you go like that, it'll refocus. Or it has an accelerometer in the glasses, and you look down, and it goes, "Oh, you want to read? Okay." I need those.
I need an accelerometer in my body so when I trip, I don't fall.
I want Segway feet. Automatically rebalance. So let's get our Windows Phone 7 app.
These are easy, the two software picks. The Windows Phone app of the week is the Amazon Kindle, which,
Yay, it's out. I downloaded it immediately.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Absolutely awesome.
Yep.
Recommend it to everyone. I think the Kindle platform is just incredible, and it's a great way to read. Also, I just wanted to remind people that that TWiT app has been updated to version 1.4, so if you have that on Windows Phone, make sure you go grab the update. There's been some bug fixes, but also some user-requested features have been added, including some kind of a change to the live tile. And then the PC software pick of the week is Angry Birds for the PC. A lot of you may have heard that Apple has released this Mac App Store, but what a lot of you probably have not heard is that Intel, for whatever reason, has released an App Store of their own for Windows called App Up. You can find
I had no idea about this. I when I read this in your notes, I thought, what is App Up?
If you're looking at, a microcosm for the whole PC versus Mac debate, this is it. Because, the Intel App Store is terrible, requires Java, which is awful. But it does, at the end of the day, it gives you that stuff that you get from the Mac App Store, including one of the same games, which is my recommendation and my pick, Angry Birds for the PC.
Yeah.
So it's $5. You can install it on up to 5 PCs. And it works exactly as it does on the Mac, by the way. And as you would expect, if you're familiar with Angry Birds running on, the iPhone or iPod Touch or Android or whatever, it works the same way. So you can find that, and of course the App Store at appup.com.
So it's kind of like Steam, Intel's version of Steam. Is that it? In other words, when I buy it for $4.99, is that on
Intel's version of the Mac App Store? That is the closest comparison. It is very, very similar.
When I buy it on one machine, can I then install it on all the others? For this, I don't have to rebuy it?
Yeah. No, it's not as liberal, I guess, as the Apple policy. If I'm not mistaken, Apple pretty much is unlimited, as long as you're logging in with your account. The Intel version is 5 PCs.
Well, that's plenty. I mean, how many computers?
Yeah.
Do you
how many instances of Angry Bird do you need?
I actually really actively forced myself not to install Angry Birds on my Windows or Mac machines because I already have it on every other portable device.
Because it just kills all your time.
And I get nothing done.
Has there been any discussion about how the holiday version of Angry Birds is 3 million times more difficult than the regular version.
I agree. It's ridiculous.
Isn't it crazy how hard it is?
Yeah.
Right from the first level.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, I mean, it's for the enthusiast. Are you able to get 3 stars on the levels of the?
That doesn't concern me. What I want to do is just get ahead. I want to do all of it.
Leo,
there are some levels, by the thread, the barest thread, you actually something rolls and it blows up the last guy and you got lucky. Right. I never want to go there again.
No, you're not going to go back and go for more. No, yeah, right.
I just want to get out of there.
I just want to. I'm
never going back.
Yeah.
Never going back.
Never going back. But you wouldn't spend 99 cents for the Angry Eagle.
You know what? I've run into. It's funny you say that because, of course, I had that problem last year with my son and the in-app purchases. I have mistakenly clicked on that so many times, and it says, "Are you sure you want to, purchase the Angry Eagle?"
No.
The answer every time is no. And what is this stupid thing that's in the middle? What is that?
Okay, it's $1.
Well, yes, it's okay. It's $1.
It's for people who are like, because it really takes all the fun out of the game.
The entire level or something. Okay.
So, although you can do it wrong. I mean, you have to do it right. You can do it wrong, and it doesn't get everything.
I'm sorry. Is the Angry Eagle a one-time deal? You pay $1, use it, and it's dead?
That's what I thought. And no, in fact, you can reuse it, but there's you can only use it 3 times an hour or something like that. Is that right? I'm asking the wrong people. They're going, I don't know, Angry Birds. What is that?
They're over there like, what?
When is iPad today?
It's May coming here. Yeah.
I think once an hour. Dr. Mom says you can use it once an hour, and that's forever. Dr. Mom. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, it's cheating.
I'm not buying it.
No, it's cheating.
I resent it. I don't know how it got there or what it is. I don't know why it pops up. I must click the wrong thing.
An in-app purchase, and I can guarantee you, given that they've sold,
though. I mean, it's crazy how it.
Given that they have sold, what was it, 21, or they have installed 21 or 31 million copies.
These guys could retire, and they're
on Angry Eagle alone.
We figured out another way to monetize this thing.
Yeah, in-app purchase. I bet you they've made $5 million on Angry Eagle.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
I just wish.
Anyway, that's my app pick of the week. I think you should buy it.
It's crazy.
And if I'm not mistaken, the Angry Eagle thing I think is in the PC version. I'd have to run it and check, but
if it's not, it will be.
I'm pretty sure I saw it on the Mac as well. I think it's everywhere.
Yeah, if it's not, it will be.
Yeah.
And it's a response because it's completely cheating. There's no strategy. But
so there are some people who become so frustrated they just want to get ahead.
It's what it is. It's for people who say, "I give up. I can never get this. I give up."
This is what YouTube is for. Right. There are entire video guides.
But that's not cheating. That's just studying.
Well, okay.
That's research.
I think it's better to lay there in bed until 3 o'clock in the morning until you finish a single level.
Have I done that? Oh, have I done that? That's why it's bad to have it on a portable device. You can't do that with a PC.
Yeah.
Well, you could, but it would really be uncomfortable.
It's probably awesome on a tablet PC.
Oh, on an iPad?
For those 6 guys out there that have one of those.
It's what the iPad was made for. Angry Birds.
I think you're right.
Paul Thurrott, you're the best. I really appreciate your through the snow and sleet and hail. And
unlike my mailman who hasn't showed up in 3 days. I don't know what's going on there.
Mind. Really, the mailman didn't come because it snowed?
We're shoveled out. Let's
wait a minute. You're saying that it's
10 feet to the
they
door.
lied?
We haven't gotten mail since I don't know. Tuesday.
You mean they don't come through snow and sleet and hail?
That's a lie. Wait, is that him driving by? That was a
Don't
Verizon
make
truck.
a mailman angry. You know.
Yeah.
Not ixnay on the mailman, mate.
We got lucky, by the way. The power was down, one house down, and everything on the other side was out. And it was all day yesterday.
God.
Yeah. So we just turned all our lights on to, piss them off.
Yeah. We got heat. What do you
we
got?
Locked the doors.
My wife is convinced, because Abby, is in Upper New York State right now in college. Yep. She's convinced that Abby will leave the room of her dorm, go out through the door of the dorm, get lost in a whiteout, wander until she freezes and dies.
It is literally like the planet Hoth in The Empire Strikes Back.
Where's the attic?
She will have to carve open the belly of an animal to survive.
Yeah.
That's New York. That's what New York is like.
But it's like that all year round.
This is a reasonable fear.
Oh, Paul. Well, do stay warm, stay dry. And, folks, if you like this show, and I know you do, Windows Weekly, we do it when I get into the office in time, we do it every Thursday
Anyway,
at 11
anytime
a.m.
from 2 to 3 p.m.
Well,
Eastern.
I'll tell you, Pacific, 2 p.m. The reason unfortunately, I'm on the board of this school, and the school board meetings are Thursdays. So it's the worst possible time. And they always say, oh, no, only be an hour. Sure. And then, they say, what about this Darwin? And then we go, and then it's hours. Huh? Well, the debate. They don't want to talk about it.
That's a debate?
No, not in California.
I hope not.
Not in California. I'm just being silly. Paul Thurrott is the editor-in-chief of the SuperSite for Windows. You go there, and you will learn much. Oh, young Padawan. WinSupersite.com. He's also the news editor, Windows IT Pro, the author of the fabulous, give me the book.
Well, wake up. It's like
Andy, don't worry. iPad Today is coming up. No, Andy is like a total fan. Andy Birch is visiting us from. He's actually from Brisbane, where in Australia, where there are heavy floods, but he's okay. Windows Phone 7 Secrets, and he also has his own site, AndrewTechHelp.com. Isn't that cool? He's a little Australian lad. Anyway, that's the book. Get it and be well. Thank you, Paul Thurrott. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly. All right, here comes coffee. That means we can begin. Oh, my God, Paul, you won't believe it. Wait a minute. Let me put the camera on this kid.
Okay.
What is he holding up, ladies and gentlemen? Windows 7 Secrets.
God bless you. And Leo,
yes.
God damn you.
Well, Alex bought it. And what's your name, sir? Andrew bought it. And he's also showing a Windows 7 phone.
Yes.
He's got an Australia. Are you from Australia?
Is it a HT7?
You're not from HTC Mozart.
Mozart, yeah. Nice. From the
it doesn't
land
have
of
Zune or
bandwidth.
Bing. I sound like I'm.
What?
It doesn't have Zune or Bing. It doesn't have Google or Gaga.
Right. I was just speaking to a guy today on the phone, and I said,
you don't have the Zune or the Bing.
All right, so let's get off on a Windows Phone rant immediately.
Okay, good.
I said, Microsoft needs to pay me not to make a matrix where I list all of the countries in which it's available on one side and then all of the features that are supposed to be available on the other, and then put little check marks about where it would look like a patchwork quilt of missing features.
I can't understand how you wouldn't put Bing.
Like it has Bing, but no
right.
local search.
Oh, it doesn't have local search. Well, they don't know what's in Australia. Now, you're not from Brisbane, are you?
Right.
Oh, my God. Are you okay?
My area is fine, but the city...
Oh, my God. Yeah. And boy, you guys are from down under as well?
No.
You're nodding as if you're from Brisbane. They're going, it's terrible. You've been talking to him. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, well, and to all of them, we have many, many listeners I know in Brisbane and that area.
Oh, the flooding of the
it's
the waves
horrendous flooding. The whole downtown is flooded.
Yep.
And all the valleys.
The valleys. Terrible, 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 terrible. All right. Here we go. Windows Weekly. One more time. 3, 2. Oh, wait a minute. They don't, like
Listen,
most,
do I have time for one more Call of Duty game? Or
yeah, you do, actually. You could probably get to Prestige 50 at this point.